Alongside Elliotte Friedman, and we began our pregame on Friday with a throng of Montreal fans right here outside the Bell Center chanting "Habs in six, Habs in six." Well, they didn't win Game 3, and the mood in this city has changed a little bit since then. In the 48 hours that have followed that Game 3 loss, how would you describe things here in Montreal now?
Well, I'd like to start off with a pretty funny story that happened to us on Sunday morning. So Dave, Kevin, and I went for breakfast. We're sitting outside in a patio, and Dave says, "You know what? I'm not hearing anyone saying Habs in seven, Habs in seven." And no joke, not a word of a lie. A minute after he says that, some guy runs by our table and yells Habs in seven. So there is someone, at least one person, who's incredibly enthusiastic. But there is no question that there has been some letting the air out of the balloon here. And I think it was not just you lose Game 3, that can happen, but the way it happened, the fact the building was riled up, the fact that Montreal was so excited, all those people outside, as Dave talked about, and Tampa came right out and owned the game from the beginning, 2-0, 3.5 minutes in. And I think that's the biggest challenge. You know, John Cooper was asked on Sunday about, waiting to clinch at home, and there's no way that they're thinking that. I understand why the question gets asked. We're all looking for angles, but they have a killer instinct. The Lightning absolutely have a killer instinct. They're going to come out. They're going to go hard. They've got a ton of people in their organization on and off the ice who would love to win and celebrate in Quebec, potentially in front of some of their families in the crowd. I think it's an enormous challenge, and you can definitely tell, Dave, the city feels it's an enormous challenge.
This Tampa group does have a killer instinct, and this Montreal group has really embraced the underdog role, but these groups could look very different next season. I mean, there's a number of UFAs, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but when you think about Deneau and Perry and Armia, and you look about Gaudreau and Coleman, Savard, there's a lot of guys that could be changing. Collectively, this could be the last run for these two groups.
And I think that's a very, very big factor. I think with Tampa, and again, Cooper talked about it, it's the legacy, not just winning one cup, but winning back-to-back. Like, one of the general manager's quotes I remember was Ron Wolf, who was the former general manager of the Green Bay Packers. When they had Brett Favre, they won their Super Bowl. They beat New England in the late 90s, and then the next year they went back to the Super Bowl and they lost to Denver. And I remember Ron Wolf being interviewed about that and how much it hurt him and some of that group to win it just once. And to me, that was a crazy quote, Dave, because it's so hard to win it just once. But a true legacy is defined by, can you get back there and win it again? I think those Tampa guys do think about that. For Montreal, look at this ride. They were 60 minutes away from defeat against Toronto. They were twice in overtime, one shot away from defeat against Toronto, and they overcame it, and they're here. And I think that brings a bondness and a togetherness, and you want to prolong that as much as you possibly can. I do think that's what Montreal thinks about is, let's have more than one more game together as a group.
An incredible resilience shown by the Montreal Canadiens, as you mentioned, a perfect 3-0 when facing elimination this postseason. For Tampa Bay, it's a chance to maybe make a little more history and join the Calgary Flames in 1989, the only visiting team to be awarded the Stanley Cup as visitors again.